Ben Donaldson, thank you so much for joining me on Life of Chance podcast. Is your day off? I know in camp at the moment. So thank you very much for your time.
No worries. Thanks for having me. Excited for a chat. Should be good.
Yeah, cool. So I don't know if you probably haven't listened, but basically we're just going to talk about life and how how footy interacts with that, as well as sort of the premise around when you've taken a chance, because it is the Life of Chance podcast. Let's kick it off
Easy.
with nickname.
Yeah, mainly Dono. Most people call me Dono. I hardly ever get Ben, so it's when I hear Ben, it's actually quite weird. So
Like you're being told off.
um, exactly, yeah. So it's Dono. Even my parents these days usually call me Dono. So
There you go.
yeah,
Cool.
that's the main one.
Um, Sports growing up other than rugby?
Um, Geez, a lot. My parents were big in getting us into as many sports as we could. Me and my sisters. So I started with soccer and rugby league, um, as well as nippers, little athletics,
Were you a Coogee nipper?
swimming. I was a Coogee nipper. Yep, down at Coogee there. But yeah, or Oz tag, touch footy, really anything really. I love being outdoors with my mates, and my parents love getting us outdoors. So all of those main ones, and then started a fair bit of cricket as well in the summer. So yeah, almost everything really, but it was awesome.
Love it. And there's also now some golf.
Yep. There is some golf. Yeah, took that up probably through my dad and my uncles. Really, they love their golf, so they got me into that. And as a rugby player, you get a little bit of time off, so most boys are into their golf. So yeah, it's a bit of fun.
That's cool. Uh, Debut for the Tahs was when?
2020. I should know that. I think it was 2020.
Let me check my notes.
um, Pretty
Yeah.
sure it was. Yeah, it was in. It
Yeah,
was a weird one.
2020.
Yeah, I was in the the wider training squad with the Tars, but couldn't actually play because I was only on a development contract, and then COVID hit. So the competition kind of all stopped, and a few boys left. Didn't come back after COVID, moved overseas and stuff. So it opened up a spot, and then yeah, made my debut against the Western Force actually, where I am
Yeah.
now. So
Yeah.
at the SCG, so it was a pretty cool spot to play my first game, and we got the win as well, which made it all a bit better.
Awesome. And then between there and now playing for the Force, you debuted for the Wallabies. Talk me through that one.
Yeah, it was a obviously a great moment for myself and my family debuting for your country. But for the people
Tough
who know how it kind
transition.
of
Yeah.
ended up,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a tough day out in Italy there. On my first spring tour was awesome. Played against Italy, probably one of the games that the Wallabies and Australian supporters want to forget for a long time. But yeah, it was tough. Came on for about 5-10 minutes at the back end. Managed to, we scored a try to go behind by 1 point. Had a goal kick to win the game, and unfortunately missed it. So yeah, it was a very tough, afternoon. But I look back at it now, and it probably, made me a little bit, stronger. And to be honest, it probably helped me in a sense, that resilience and stuff. So as shattering as it was, I'm kind of grateful that I actually went through that as well.
Yeah, it's kind of like everyone wants that fairy tale, like first cap, the dream
Mm-hmm.
game, but sometimes
Yeah,
it's those moments that hurt that are the ones that do shape you and make you that bit more resilient. And remember, it is international rugby. It's not
yeah,
always going to work out that way.
yeah,
Did the
100%.
did the family
Yeah,
head over?
yeah. So mum and dad came over, and my uncle. So they were obviously shattered with how it ended as well, but they were very proud. First game for your country, it's always a proud moment. And then I was lucky enough to start 2 weeks later in Wales against Wales. So my dad and my uncle were still there for that. So it was a pretty cool moment for them to see that as well. And we won that game. So that kind of ended the trip on a high note, which was nice.
Yeah. Um, so then you went to the Force last year.
Yep.
The decision to move, what was it? Just
Um, Bit of a weird one to be honest. Like obviously I'd been at the Tahs, my whole career basically ever since I left school. Academy, Tahs, and then I was off contract. When was it? Last year. Yeah, last year. The Tahs still had three
tense.
tens on contract. Tane, Harrow, Jack Bowen. So I guess it didn't really make sense to re-sign me as another 10, having four young tens, all four quite, very good players, good potential. So it was a tough one. I kind of thought I deserved my spot there because I had just played for the Wallabies. I was still the starting 10 there. But that's pro sport, isn't it? People have to make tough decisions, and they just didn't see, a reason to sign another 10 when they saw potential in the other three, which is fair enough. So yeah, once that kind of unfolded, Simon Cron at the Force was really keen on me, and I knew him briefly from when he used to be in Sydney, and yeah, we had some good chats, and I knew a few boys over there, and yeah, it was in the end it was a pretty easy decision, as tough it was leaving the New South Wales, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with the move.
Yeah, awesome. Um, Outside of rugby, what hobbies or passions are there in the world of Dono?
Um, Hobbies, or
Golf.
wouldn't say it so much. Yeah, golf. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, golf's a big hobby, obviously. I've, it's not really a hobby, but I just love the beach. I love being at the beach, whether it's, I'm not the greatest surfer, but I do like to surf a little bit. Just being in the sun, having a coffee with the boys. We're lucky in Perth. We've got some amazing beaches over there. Even here in Sydney, when we're back in Sydney. Yeah, even that. I'm at uni as well.
What are you
Um,
studying?
wouldn't call it a hobby, but it's
No?
something I'm doing outside of
Yeah,
rugby.
it's good.
Sport and exercise management at UTS. So
Cool.
I've actually only got one subject left, so I'm pretty close to getting that knocked over, which is nice. And then once that's finished, I guess maybe we can look at some work placement here and there in the off season and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just nice to be doing something else outside of rugby, get your mind off it and stuff like that as well.
Yeah. Is there like, do you see where you want to be in that exercise sport management space post footy, or is it just it was a good degree to do, interested in that area, and then you'll work out the career when you need it?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, kind of just like I thought it was a cool degree to do. Started as soon as I left school. So just doing it full time first year out of school. Was It just interested me really, the subjects that were in it and some of the pathways it can lead off to. And yeah, I don't really know exactly what I want to get out, like the career out of it, but I think there's a few different avenues I could go down. But yeah, it's been really interesting, and it does align with rugby as well. So it gives you a better understanding of how certain things operate as well. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really good. It's good to have something going on in the background because we know that
Yeah.
rugby doesn't last forever, much as
Yep.
we like it
100%.
to. I also heard yesterday that you have a set of drums at home. Did that drum kit go, did that drum kit make its way to Perth, or is it just at parents' house?
Yeah. Nah, just at the parents' house. A bit too big and bulky to get over to Perth, but yeah, I don't know. I started playing the drums in primary school. I guess when I was in primary school, everyone, well, not everyone, but most kids had to, play an instrument, and mine was the drums, and then kind of was in the school band and stuff.
High
Sounds a
school
bit
as
weird
well,
looking back
or
at it,
just primary school?
just primary school. And then into high school, year 7 and 8, I think we had to play an instrument as well. So I was doing like, drum classes with a, drum teacher and stuff. And I really enjoyed it, just kind of jamming out and stuff. And yeah, then got a drum kit and I've kind of had it ever since. And every now and then it's always good to have a jam. And one of the boys actually in Perth has an electric drum kit. So
Ah,
I've
cool.
jumped on that a little bit as well. So yeah, it's just a bit of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. That leads me perfectly into what's your favorite music at the moment? Like if you were listening to a song, what do you listen to?
Um,
Song genre.
I love my country at the moment.
Yeah.
Um, or any kind of country music really. It's just
Yeah.
I don't know. I was never really into it, but like in the last 12 months, I've been quite into it. But really, I like all music really. But yeah, country, I've been into that a fair bit.
Nice. And if you could be any animal, what would you be and why?
Ooh. I've been asked this a few times, in different environments recently, but
Yeah.
probably um, either some sort of bird. I don't know. The concept of flying would be pretty cool. Getting from A to B pretty quickly, seeing things from a different view would be pretty cool. Um, or just something, I guess, super quick on the ground. I don't know, a leopard or a tiger or something like that. Living in a jungle would be pretty cool as well.
I can't deal. I think so you're the fifth wallaby that I've interviewed, and I
Yeah.
think every single one of you has said that you'd like to be a bird. There's something about flying
Oh
in your
god. Yeah.
voice.
I don't know. I don't know. That's odd.
It's a preset answer that you get told when you're
It must be. Yeah.
in your media training. All right. Okay, so growing up, you played for the Clovelly Eagles.
Yep.
Started in the under 11s. Was that the first time you played union?
Yeah, it was. So, like I said, I played a lot of rugby league and soccer um, up until that stage, and cricket in the summer. And then, yeah, it wasn't until under 11s I played my first rugby union game. I don't know why I started so late. A lot of boys started in under fives, under sixes, but I think it just worked well. I think it was soccer on the Saturday, rugby league on the Sunday, and then I kind of moved away from soccer and then went to um, Clovelly Eagles on the
Mm.
Saturday, Clovelly Crocodiles League on the Sunday. So then played a bit of both, and then yeah, that's kind of how it started.
When did you drop the league?
When I started high school, so I would have been what's that, 13? Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
What you
13
went
is the age.
to Waverley, right?
Waverley College,
Yeah.
yep. So yeah, started Waverley. Um, I might have still played league for a couple of years on the Sunday, but then it all just got a bit too much, and you start playing in the A's at school. They kind of want you focusing
Encourage.
on that and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, kind of dropped it from then, and then just focused on rugby union and cricket at school.
And was the focus, do you think the focus on union and cricket came from genuinely from school, or because you also like were enjoying it enough to see it as something that you wanted to take seriously?
Yeah, a bit of both. Obviously, I love playing rugby, and I grew up, watching rugby union. My dad was a massive rugby union man. Went to Tahs games, went to Wallabies games, down to watch Randwick play on Saturday Arvos and stuff. So it was always in my life. And then yeah, once I guess school came around, it was yeah, started kind of making the 13 A's, 14 A's and stuff like that. And then making best mates through that, and then that's when you start to really enjoy it and have fun, and it kind of all just flowed from there.
Yeah, right. That. So were you always a 10 fullback?
Um, yeah, from
And
memory,
yeah,
I actually played halfback a little bit. I was, yeah, always a 10, 15. Obviously, Will Harrison. We were in the same teams growing up, all together all the time. So we both wanted to play 10. Sometimes I'd go fullback. Sometimes he'd go 12. Which I guess is a good thing. You learn new positions and stuff. So yeah. Then there was one junior state championship for Randwick where we needed a number 9. So for some reason, I ended up in there, which was different, but it was cool. Something different. But yeah, other than that, it's always been 10 or 15.
yeah, cool. I want to talk about that competition between you guys, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. Um, when like growing up, then playing a lot of 10 fullback, and even 9, there's a lot of game
Mm.
management involved. How did you did you always just have a vision on the game because you watched it with your family, or like how did you develop your ability to sort of control a game?
Um, it's a good question. To be honest, probably wasn't the greatest, game controller, in those younger age groups. There's not as much game management needed when you're young, so it was more so just about I guess
Good
feeding the
hands.
ball out to the backs, yeah, letting the forwards do their thing, running when you can, and probably wasn't until maybe the under 15s, under 16s at school, maybe even year 11 and stuff, we need to start to learn about game management and a bit more kicking and stuff, and yeah, kind of I guess through watching games. I watched a lot of Bernard Foley and Kirtley and those guys. And when you get a bit older, you kind of want to watch more and learn more and study more about it. So yeah, it probably wasn't until the under 16s maybe where really started to try figure out how to manage games and help the boys out. And yeah, like my school coaches obviously helped out a lot, and club coaches and stuff like that. And my dad coached me for a long time as well, so he always sat me down and whether it was good or bad and let me know how it was. So yeah, there was different ways, but yeah, it all helped.
Now, what do you think your game management style is? Is that a question?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah, obviously there's different styles. You've got blokes who are real, firm and hard and, swear and let you know how it is and need you to do this and that in a certain way. I'm more a kind of laid back, calm, style kind of game controller, which, can be detrimental at times if you're too calm and too laid back because the piggies, they want you to tell them how it is sometimes and tell them where to go. So I've been working on that for the past couple of years. I've been told I need to be a little bit louder and stuff, which is good feedback. So yeah, I'm more the kind of I guess lead by actions, and when I talk, I feel like the boys listen because I don't talk or over talk. But yeah, that's kind of how I do it. I a bit more laid back, a bit more calm. If the boys say that I'm calm, hopefully it makes them calm and puts that presence on them as well.
Yeah, for sure. So you've mentioned family a few times and well, your dad. Um,
Yep.
I just want to give a side note and say he's one of the few people that whenever I walk into I've bumped into him a couple of times and he's always the first person to be like I firstly didn't recognize him the first couple of times he came up to me, but he's like, watch the games, you're doing really well, or this is great. Like
Yeah.
I love how much he cares about the whole game of rugby.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but you've mentioned in previous interviews that you are a big family man.
Mm.
Families obviously played a huge part in your rugby journey. Dad's coached you. You said your uncle, your dad, mum went over and
Yeah.
watched you. Um,
Yeah.
like what does being a family man in your mind mean?
Yeah, it's obviously massive. Yeah, like you said, I've said it a few times. Dad's coached me all the time growing up. Mum's come to probably every single game I've ever played. My sisters as well, and yeah, I think it's awesome to see that they care so much about it as well. And I probably wouldn't have got into rugby if it wasn't for my family because they grew up through rugby and stuff. So yeah, it is pretty cool. And yeah, like you said about my dad, he lives rugby. He coaches all the Randwick juniors. He coaches at different schools.
Still?
Yeah,
Still
still
coaches?
coaching. Yep,
Ah, cool.
yep. Runs the Randwick Junior Academy where there's hundreds of kids, and there's a lot of girls who have now joined that as well, which is cool to see. So yeah, he loves it, and it rubs off on me. The way he kind of drives that, and he's not home very much because he coaches so much, so Mum gets a little bit annoyed. But no, he does a lot of work, and yeah, it is a very big rugby family, and I think my mum loves it when she sees him having enjoying himself, and then me as well. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. You've talked about your sisters as well. You got two?
Yeah, two sisters, one older, one younger, all 2 years apart. So yeah,
Nice.
we're pretty tight. They get a bit annoyed sometimes when there's so much rugby chat going on, but older sister's a primary school teacher, younger sister's a nurse. So yeah, my
Yeah, cool.
my parents and I we're all proud of each other with whatever we're doing. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's special.
Yeah.
Um, in terms of how you learn and train, I don't know how I'm going to ask this question, but basically, like, do you think that like a coach can do you follow coaches or do you like have your own style and then like mold into it the way the coach works? Because being a 10, like you're quite in control of a game. So if you aren't fully on the same page as the coach, how do you like get there?
Yeah, it's actually a good question because like my dad says it all the time. He thinks that coaches are starting to coach like natural ability out of some players. And it's so true. Like you see it all the time. Some players coming through are so good, and then they'll get to a high level and they'll be so structured, and they'll be sticking to like a plan so much that they won't
Right.
play well. Or so yeah, it's interesting because yes, as a 10, you need to play the game plan out and put the boys in the right areas of the field, but I also like to be an instinctive player and play what I see. And if an opportunity opens up, take it. And that's probably where Joe Schmidt has been really good. We have a game plan, we have the mold, but he says if you see something, take it. Like I want you to back yourself, and which is awesome because, like I said, you don't want to be coach those instincts out of you. So yeah, obviously listen to your coaches, but yeah, that's one thing my dad's always said: don't ever let a coach those instinctual habits out of you. So yeah,
Yeah, nice. And then you said, well, you haven't said, but you've sort of referenced Randwick. Randwick
yep,
is where you played all of your senior rugby in between, academy,
yeah,
Aus 20s. Were you playing Colts? Did you play Colts straight out of school at Randwick?
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so went straight into Colts first year out of school, won the premiership actually, which was pretty cool. We had a pretty stacked team, which was awesome. Fun year with the boys. Won the premiership, and then was still in Colts the following year, but got pushed up to grade. Then played a couple years in first grade as well.
Yeah, awesome. And so that's sort of where that Will Harrison and yourself competition, if you've gone through all your sort of rep juniors, he didn't play at Clovelly, did he? Was he at Clovelly
He was
Junior?
at he was at Coogee Seahorses to
Yeah.
start with, so we would verse each other,
Yeah.
and then his team folded, I think, so he came over to Clovelly.
No, he just wanted to be
In
with you.
the last year or so. So yeah, exactly.
And then you played basically rep teams all the way through. You've then competed in an amazing sense because I know that you guys are such close
Mhm.
mates as well. Do
Yeah,
you think that that competition has helped make you a better player?
yeah, I do think so. As frustrating as it was at times, because you obviously want to be playing and you're not because he's playing.
Yeah.
Like you're stoked for your mate when he's playing, but it does get frustrating. Obviously, you want to be playing. But yeah, I think it has helped massively. Because we were so tight, we'd always be doing extras together. We'd always be going in on our day off, kicking, passing, doing recovery, watching code together. And I feel if he wasn't there all those years, would I have done that all on my own? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. So I think, yeah, it definitely made us better players. We were always challenging each other, doing kickoffs at training, going hard against each other. So, yeah, I definitely think it's made me a better player. And yeah, I think it's made him a better player as well.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think um it's such a tight, it's like a fine line, isn't it, when your mate, like your really good mates compete with you for the same spot. But I
Mhm.
think like I look at a few positions in different teams where players genuinely get along with their competition and then they support each other to make, like you're constantly challenging each other, but in like a like I'm always going to be firstly team first and supporting whatever decision is best for the team, but then that second part being like it's a genuine competition with
Mm.
like I actually want to win, but as long as we win it's okay. And I you
Yeah.
see you see how much better I think people get because there's no easy session. There's no point where you're not in a direct competition. And as long as
Yeah.
you can keep it really constructive and, walk away from the on-field competition, I think it even makes a friendship better. That's it's cool to see, and it's cool to see how
Yeah.
well you've both done and like going off in slightly different directions right now, but like
Mhm. Yeah.
it's yeah, it's great. I've loved seeing the competition at uni. Oh, sorry, at uni at Tahs, and then
Yeah.
even all the way through to the top.
Yeah, 100%. No, it's been cool. And like our families are really close friends as well. Our dads actually played together back in the day at Randwick. So yeah, it's a pretty cool story. And yeah, we've branched off, like you said, at the moment. Hopefully we come back together one day, who knows where. I know he's still got ambitions and playing for the Wallabies, so
Yeah,
hopefully one day we can do that, and that'd be a pretty cool story if that did happen.
it definitely would be. Classic question for you here. When have you taken a chance?
It's a good question. Well, probably the most recent one is moving to the Force. Obviously, like I said, I was pretty comfortable in New South Wales. I did, they did actually offer me a contract to stay at the Tahs. Obviously, not the contract I kind of was looking for, but there was still one there, so I could have stayed and been comfortable in that environment. But I did take the chance to move to the Force, other side of the country. It was a big move. I've lived at home my whole life prior to that, so with my family. So I guess that was a bit of a chance moving over there, something new, a bit of unknown, but look, it's turned out pretty good for myself. Although we didn't make the finals this year, we played some decent footy, and I feel like we've got a good thing brewing over there. And I feel like I've definitely grown as a person and a rugby player since I've moved. So that's probably the most recent one.
Yeah, that's a
I
good,
think what else?
it's a fair example.
Yeah.
Um, and when has someone taken a chance on you, and why do you think they did it?
Um, Another good question. Probably not so much like team or coach or anything like that, but pretty cool. And actually, I actually reached out to Richie Mwanga just on Instagram. When was it? Can't remember if it was before or after the World Cup, just to ask for some advice. Obviously, he's one of the goats in rugby. Didn't know if he'd respond or anything, but he took a chance and responded to me, which was pretty cool. And we've actually exchanged a fair few messages now, and he's providing some feedback and explaining how to, like we said, manage a team and really take a team on as a 10 and stuff. So I guess that's someone who I guess took a chance on responding to me, and yeah, pretty grateful for that because he's a pretty handy player.
That's awesome. I love to hear
Mm.
the like cross collaboration, even like across the globe. Like,
Yeah,
that's awesome. And
pretty
well done
cool.
to you for actually taking the chance and
Yeah.
messaging him, because there's a lot of, there'd be a lot of ego around like
Mm.
asking for help from a competitor.
Yeah, 100%. And I was a bit awkward, kind of sending a message like that, but you're never going to know if you don't do it. So I thought, why not? And yeah, lucky that he responded. And yeah, he's a bloody good fella. So
Yeah, that's really cool. Um, how do you deal with setbacks or being told no? Have you had many experiences where you're like, "Gah," and then how do you turn it
yeah,
around?
yeah, fair few. Like you said, I've had this competition with Harrow for a long time, and even when Tane Edmund started coming through, you get told you're not playing, you get told you're playing, you get told you're not wanted, or injury setbacks, all that kind of stuff. I always kind of resort back to just working hard, I guess. Most people are probably the same, but you dwell on it for a day or half a day and get your anger out, but there's not much else you can do after that. Someone's made a decision, or if you get injured, you can't change the fact that you're injured. So just get back to what I guess got you to that position in the first place. You work hard, have fun, enjoy yourself. You're in a pretty privileged position when you're playing, rugby for a living. So still turn up to work, having fun, enjoying yourself, and they're probably the two main things that I kind of fall back on.
Yeah, love it. How or what do you do differently, or how do you set yourself apart from your competition? Like, do you have processes that you're like, nah, I do this really well, or like recovery, that kind of thing?
Mm-hmm. Um,
Or do you just trust
I
that you've got a team environment that sets you up for success?
Yeah, a bit of both, I guess. I don't really do anything out of the ordinary that other players, I guess, wouldn't do. Do my plan at the start of the week, outline everything I want to get done, which most people do. I
Talk
do
me
do
through
it.
that, because not everyone is a Wallaby. Not everyone,
Yeah, no,
is a
that's true.
successful rugby player.
Yeah, no. So just have a plan Sunday through to the game day, Saturday. Sit down on the Sunday prior to going in on the Monday, and just plan out everything I want to get done on that day, rugby related. So Monday might be, an in-store day. So learn the new plays, get with players and coaches to get clarity, do some light skills, recovery if it's after a game. Then to Tuesday, it's like the big day. So I want to get contact done, lots of kicking, stuff under pressure. And then Wednesday day off. So I want to get some uni done, more recovery. Most days off, I go for a kick. So goal kick, stuff like that, just get some more reps in. And then Thursday, Friday, kind of the back end of the week. So I kind of taper off a bit. So I get most of my work done in the front end of the week. So then come Thursday, do a little bit more kicking, some passing. And then Friday is just usually at the stadium, your goal kicking and kickoffs and stuff, just so you're fresh going into the game. So yeah, that's kind of how I plan my week out. And then any spare time I have, obviously fill the cup with friends, family, do stuff to get your head out of the game and stuff like that. But yeah, that's what my week looks like, and I like to stick to that plan. And then you see when you tick it off, you know that you've done stuff in your head. You kind of feel good because you've done that amount of work, and then come game time, you just enjoy it and just trust that you've done all the work.
Cool. When you talk about like your kicking and you say like I want to kick on a Wednesday or kicking in a session, do you set like I want to get 10 perfect or do you just do it for feel? Like how do you break down like something that's so measurable
Hmm.
um to practice a skill but not overdo it?
Yeah, when I'm kicking during the week, I'm not too much outcome focused. I know some kickers are. Some kickers, write down exactly how many they get or miss and percentage. But I'm more so just more fuel focused and I guess rep focused. If I know I'm doing a certain amount of reps on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I feel good going into the game. I'm confident, and I'll break it up. So on the Tuesday, I might do just penalty goals inside the 15. Wednesday, I might do a full mixture: goal kicks, penalty goals, drop goals. Thursday, Friday, I'll do a mixture, and then might even get a coach to roll the ball and say, mate, you got a penalty from there or a goal kick from there, just to kind of randomize it and get a bit more of a game feel to it. Bit more variety, I guess. And then, like I said, once I've got all those reps in and a bit of different variety, come game time, I feel pretty confident anyway.
Yeah, cool. When you like, do you then also practice like specifics on like a 50-22 or like infield exits or like are they done in session or are they like bonus kicks as well?
Yeah, a bit of both. At the Force and even at the Wallabies at the moment, in our unit session, there's always kicking involved. So whether that's crossfields to the winger or high balls, you're getting them, in the session usually. And then yeah, so after a session on Tuesday and Thursday, I'll start off probably with some kickoffs into some like 50-22 kind of field kicking stuff, and then finish off with goal kicking. So there is a lot that goes into it, but it's all as important as each other. So yeah, you always find time for it, and I love kicking. I could kick for days. So yeah, it's always good fun as well.
Yeah, it's a unique skill that, I suppose there are very few skills across the game that are like not specific to people, but like a goal kicker
Mm.
has to practice his goal kicking or her goal kicking, and a
Yeah,
hooker needs to practice their throw. And they're kind of
yeah,
like, there are lots of skills that you can do by yourself, but that's one of the ones that like relies on the one person. Um,
yeah, 100%.
so it's always interesting to hear how people sort of approach that unique skill to them.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
in terms of well, we're up to our final couple of questions, to be honest.
Too
Um,
easy.
what is something that you're doing? It might be reading, listening, or thinking about, I suppose, outside of rugby that's like challenging your mind.
Um, like I said, I'm at uni at the moment, so I guess that's challenging my mind when I'm doing that. Other than that, not too much. I guess I like to. Well, wouldn't say I enjoy reading, but I have been reading a fair bit. Actually, a lot of books about investments and property. Um, I've I've been pretty into that at the moment, kind of seeing how it all works.
Yeah, cool.
Pretty keen to look to buy an investment property in the near future. So that's kind of intrigued me a fair bit. So that's probably one thing. Yeah, I'm kind of delving into at the moment.
Have you got a top book or a top podcast or something that you've been listening to that or reading that actually is like that's the one that's been giving me the most,
Um,
you know, spark in that area?
I did read a book. Oh, I've forgotten the name now. I think it might be 30 before 30,
Yeah.
or I can't exactly remember what it's called.
Yeah.
That might be what it's called. I don't know. But it's kind of like 30 properties before 30. Some bloke who wrote about it and just kind of saying how he got into it and tips and tools, stuff like that. So it's all pretty interesting and yeah, it's a different world out there, but yeah, it's pretty cool to get an insight.
Yeah, I like it. And then final question, what piece of advice would you give to your younger self?
Piece of advice, probably the biggest. Well, probably probably go hand in hand. I'd probably say listen listen to your coaches as much as possible and ask some questions. When you're a young kid or when you're coming through the ranks, you just lots of kids are there just to have fun with their friends and muck around. But once you start to get somewhat serious, if you listen to your coaches a lot, that's where you learn most of your stuff as a young fella. So listen to your coaches and really work hard on what they say. But then also, like I said before, don't let coaches coach, your instinctual habits out of you. So it's a fine margin, but they're probably the two biggest things that I've learned over the years. And yeah, that's probably what I'd say.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much, Dono. Really
No worries,
appreciate the chat.
no worries at all. Been a long time coming, but we got there.